When I look at this sculpture, I see a deer and a cape, and it seems as if the cape is caught on the deer's tail and it's pulling him up, maybe by a gust of wind. I see the colors red, white, and black. I see texture on the red side of the cape. Seems as if it could be velvety or soft to touch, while the black side seems to be hard. I think it's about a deer being caught and maybe lifted up into the sky. When I look at the deer more carefully, I see some brown, it looks like buckles on his hind feet and around his neck. I'm not sure about the symbolism of that. Also, in closer inspection of the deer, I can see his veins, and I'm calling it a deer because that's what it looks like to me, but it may or may not be a deer. The reason why I say that it may be about, this animal being caught and swept up is because of the direction the animal is being lifted in. The way this sculpture was designed makes it seem as if, there is an unseen force at play that's practically lifting the animal up. The entire sculpture is balanced on one hoof of the animal, and I don't see any, lines or strings that are holding it up. So I'm going to assume that the entire structure is balanced on that one hoof. Because of the color scheme that I see, the red, the black, the white, and also because of the shape and, the hint of movement and the facial expression on the animal itself, I think that this work might have been very important to the person who created it, since there's so much detail in the structure, in the cape, in the animal, the veins of the animal, even the mouth and the teeth and the eyes. Someone really loved working on this and put in a lot of care and effort into it. The reason why I say that is because of all of the great details we're able to appreciate in the piece, from the little blue veins in the body of the animal to the wrinkles and the cape-like structure that holds the animal above. This piece of artwork makes me feel very amused, and it always puts a smile on my face every time I see it. This isn't the first time I'm looking at this sculpture. It's the first time I'm looking at it with such great detail, because often I would just glance at it and smile as I pass by. But it makes me feel very happy and amused, and it always puts a smile on my face. I think the artist intentionally created this effect on the viewer through the color scheme and, in his detail of his work. the details, the time he took to put in those details really encourages the viewer to take your time and look at everything from different angles. It's not a sculpture you would just, stand and look at face to face. You have to walk around and take in everything that you see. I think that this is a good work of art worthy of being preserved for years to come, because it gives the viewer so many opportunities to question what they see, the balance. How is it possible that the entire structure seems to be balanced in one little heap? I'm pretty sure the cape itself weighs a ton. I mean, there's never-ending questions we can ask about this structure, and I think that itself makes it worthy enough to be preserved, because these may never be questions we may get the answers to, because it's in the museum. We're not allowed to touch it. We can do more research on it, but to really feel the mass and the weight of it and figure out how did he figure exactly where the center of gravity is so that it's perfectly balanced. I mean, these are questions we may never get the answers to, and you're left in awe like any great piece of art does. I had a pretty tough week this week in my personal life and at home, and coming and seeing or visiting my little friend, as I always refer him to, or as, it makes me smile. The red, white, and black of the color scheme of the sculpture really makes me reminiscent of my country, because those are our national colors, the red, the white, and the black. So I do feel a little bit of a connection with this piece, personally. The description that the museum has of the piece does not give us a clear definition of the animal part of the sculpture, if it's a dog or a fawn, and I guess that kind of, coincides with what I said. I think it's the fawn because of the feet, but you can't be sure. I also think that the museum placed a lot of emphasis on the cape because of the color and in reference to Red Riding Hood and Dracula, and that was something that I sort of missed on, even though the red did pop out at me as soon as I saw it. I think when interpreting a piece of artwork, everyone has their own individual views on it, as to compare to the medium and the content and the context, and also information about the artist. But we all interpret things individually, and the way I see it may not necessarily be the same way that the person who's writing the interpretation for the museum might have seen it. Therefore, it's all left to the individual to interpret the piece as you make a personal connection to it.